Don't get in my way.
Hey guys, Sith Lord 310 here with a new episode of Death Star Radio, episode 4. And this time we're going to talk about the infamous bounty hunter, Boba Fett. And we're going to talk about if he's actually a good character or if he's a bad character. Is he overrated or is he underrated? That's what we're going to talk about today, and I have a very special guest with me.
Alright, here we go. My name's Josh. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah guys, so let's get started with the simple thing. Boba Fett, he looks badass, man. This is one of the probably most fearsome looking characters in Star Wars. But
for sure.
the big question is he overrated? What do you think? Is he overrated?
I think it's so different because I feel like with me, you could get a different answer any day. I feel like in some cases he's not, because the mystery about him is the character. The fact that we don't know a lot about him plays into the bounty hunter aspect. But I feel like the problem is what we do know of him and how it was executed is, well, for lack of a better term, it's really bad, especially with how Attack of the Clones ended. And so with that, you're kind of stuck in the middle, because there's really great things about him and then there's terrible things as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Boba Fett, in the original trilogy at least, he serves his purpose well. He's meant to be just that mysterious Clint Eastwood type, badass character just in the background. He does stuff when he's supposed to, and he's just, very collected and calm during these tense situations. But when you look at what the prequels did with him, how they introduced him and his backstory, it changed things. Because now in the original trilogy, it brings some questions that the prequels, made you have. And then not to mention that all the stuff going on in the Clone Wars with Boba Fett, having that bounty hunter group and really growing up with the bounty hunters.
Yeah.
It really brings, more questions to what happened. Is the, what did you think of the episodes in the Clone Wars with Boba Fett?
I think in the Clone Wars it was a great attempt at trying to build the character of Boba Fett, because at this point I think what Dave Filoni realized is because of Attack of the Clones, we're just gonna have to go into this because there's kind of no other point or just no other choice to, because you've gone in so far that you kind of have to keep going. And so with them, I think they kept the mystery of him by not having so many episodes about him. But you could see the influences that were on him. So obviously Jango Fett was an influence, but you saw Aura Singh and then a couple others, and so you could see how you can basically make the connections how he was formed. And even to think about it, not even the original trilogy saves him in a bit, because in Return of the Jedi, he dies by a blind Han, pretty much. So it's very weird how this character is portrayed, and for the fact that on screen he looks like he just looks aloof, but by reputation and mentions from the characters on screen while he's off screen, they're saying, "Oh, this dude's for real."
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. That all the characters say this is Boba Fett. This is the most fearsome bounty hunter in the galaxy, but we don't really see that in the original trilogy or in the Clone Wars. I don't really judge it that much of seeing him as this most badass bounty hunter, because he's still getting to that spot, But at least in the original trilogy, we don't see him being the most fearsome bounty hunter. He doesn't really do much. He's just there. He just nods, says a line every couple of minutes. Not even a couple of minutes, a couple of movies. But he just stands there. And then when he actually gets in the fight in episode 6, on the cell barge assault, he doesn't really do much. He shoots at Luke, and then he gets deflected, and he just
fires a couple shots, gets hit in the back, and down the Starlock he goes. I think the other interesting thing, because there's also in the Clone Wars, there's a Bad Batch episode, which the Bad Batch being the unfinished episodes of the Clone Wars. Since that series was ended abruptly, and there's a clip of it. I believe it's either YouTube or you can find it anywhere. But it's Cad Bane versus Boba Fett in a standoff. And so the crazy part is we almost got it, but we were almost about to see Boba Fett in action as well.
Yeah, they premiered that Star Wars Celebration this past year. So yeah, just search it up on YouTube. Cad Bane versus Boba Fett. It's a pretty. It's an unfinished episode or piece of an episode, but it's really cool because it has that Wild West standoff feel for them slowly reaching for their blaster and then they just both draw. Yeah, and it shows us how he got that famous dent in his helmet. That everyone just never knew why he got it. And I'm not sure if that's canon or not. I believe it is, right?
I believe anything with dealing with the Clone Wars, like the show, should be canon. I think Bad Batch is. I think that's in the middle. But otherwise, I believe last time I heard it is canon.
Yeah, but I would, if I had to choose one side, if on the table, if Boba Fett is overrated or if he's not, I would definitely say that he is overrated for the character that he is portrayed as. I admit, yeah, in the comics, and the games and all the EU, he is a badass character. We learned that, but in the movies, what we're presented with in live action, he doesn't do much to me. That's why he's never really resonated with me. Yeah, he's cool. He looks cool, but that's about it. He doesn't do much. And now oh, go ahead.
I would agree with that too. I think he's overrated on screen. Because I think anytime he's been off screen and then they kind of just slightly mention it here and there, and like it sounds really good, and then you can just connect the dots by yourself when you see in the Clone Wars episodes the fact that he's learned by Jango Fett and whatnot. But matter of the fact is he died like a wimp, pretty much, without just putting it mildly, and his only defining moment on the big screen is capturing Han. But he also had Vader's help, so it's kind of it's weird. It's Boba Fett's such a weird character because there's so much mystery about him, but we also still know a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things where, I mean, I'm not sure if Boba Fett would fit into Rebel Season 4. I don't think he would fit in just to have him pop up, if they had Lando or Leia. But they still have a lot they could do with the character. I mean, I personally don't want a Boba Fett movie. Not a solo Boba Fett movie where it just focuses on him and his adventures. That's not really what I want. I want something, like, make it like a Magnificent Seven with, Boba Fett, Zuckuss, Forlom, all the bounty hunters from Episode 5. Make it a group movie. I don't want a solo, movie just about Boba Fett. I don't think that would work. Personally, that wouldn't work for me. I like the character the way he is and very mysterious. And to me at least, in the prequels, it was kind of tarnishing to see him as a kid. Just because, I don't know, I don't like seeing the characters, going to elementary school, these badass characters going to these, seeing them so young and so naive to everything.
I think for sure, like, I agree with you where it's like, if they're going to do a Boba Fett movie, it has to be with other bounty hunters because, honestly, the aura of Boba Fett is not in his personality or character, it's the fact that he gets the job done. And so with that, you're not going to find much character development from him, in all honesty. I feel, really, his whole life just kind of started post the Battle of Geonosis. So with that, maybe a movie, but it's going to have to be with a bunch of other bounty hunters. So I totally agree with you where it has to be a Wild West feel. I feel like with bounty hunters, that's kind of that's the only natural fit, because you can't really do sci-fi in a kind of world that's meant to be gritty and dirty and grimy. But that's kind of the bounty hunters are kind of always meant to be the Wild West of Star Wars.
Yeah, and I mean, that would and they could even continue the whole if they choose to ever do like a bounty hunter or a Boba Fett movie. They could really continue it from where the Clone Wars left off. If they choose to go, before Episode 5, or him with, or saying, his group during the Clone Wars, see how he eventually broke away from them, everything that did happen. Maybe we could even see that whole, the standoff between him and Cad Bane in live action. I think that would be really cool to see. And it's a way to bring in Cad Bane, who is, to me, Cad Bane is everything Boba Fett fans say he is.
Yeah, and appeared on screen as well. I think this is kind of where it gets a little bit interesting. But for me, with Boba Fett, I kind of do want to see him in Rebel Season 4, but I want to see him employed by Thrawn. I feel like the best part about it is he just comes in. The best way to use Boba Fett is comes in, does his job, and leaves. So definitely like a one-off, maybe 2 episode arc with Boba Fett. But it's the fact that you get to set up the mystery of them and the reputation once you get into that. Once you get into the that original trilogy here.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. It would fit, with the canon, and it wouldn't be so out there just to bring in Boba Fett. And then the other thing is, okay, speaking of before Episode 5, let's talk about after Episode 6, what happened with, okay, have you read that? I believe you have read the Aftermath trilogy, right?
Yeah, I have not finished it, but I'm slowly getting there.
Okay, so, I mean, you already know about the whole Cobb Vanth story on Tatooine.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, do you believe that somehow that is Boba Fett and he did survive, but that's what he's choosing to do now?
I think, I think that'd be very interesting if it was Boba Fett. Would I like to believe he survived? Yes, because the mystery around him lends to that. But sometimes you just kind of have to let him die. And especially I feel like Star Wars as a whole, we have a problem. It's like, oh, but this guy's resurrected, or like this guy never really died in the first place. And so we always get this thing as like we always go for far-reaching theories where sometimes you just got to be like Game of Thrones style, just like, no, dead is dead. You're just like done with it. Though I think with Boba Fett, he lends more to being alive because of what we have heard about him. And like, if there was anybody to make it out alive, it would be Boba Fett. Plus the Mandalorian armor, so that's another added plus as well.
Yeah, I mean, everything with the Aftermath trilogy and them mentioning this, the Mandalorian armor that did survive this acid attack is what they call it. It really leaves you wondering if maybe he did survive and he didn't. Because there's two possibilities. One, that he decided, okay, I'm gonna step down from being a bounty hunter and I'm just gonna be kind of police this small town here in Tatooine, or he completely ditched the armor and just went and did something else. Maybe he went back to being a bounty hunter, or maybe he just decided to become an old hermit. We don't actually know. There's so much that they could do with him, and there's so many open-ended possibilities.
Yeah, I also feel like and he and Captain Rex are at this point way more related than ever, because we now know that through backwards confirming that the bearded guy in Return of the Jedi while they're on Endor is Captain Rex, which has been confirmed by multiple people, Filoni included. And so now we kind of have a slight picture of what a clone looks for a while, because in Attack of the Clones they talk about, oh, their maturity is like twice as fast as many people, so they're ready to go within a year. And so I think the interesting part of that one is, how is Boba Fett doing, like physically? Because for all the adventures and all the missions that he goes through, how has his body been able to respond and recover since he is a clone at this point?
Yeah, that's a good point. We kind of have a feel of how Boba Fett would look over time. When we know he's unaltered, he's he's the only unaltered clone. But it leaves that question: how his physically, how is he? handling everything. Because I'm pretty sure if you get digested by a Sarlacc pit, you don't come out just walking fine. You come out pretty bruised up, pretty
Yeah.
injured. How did he get out? Where did he go? What did he do? What did he choose to do after he survived? Did he still have like a thing for Solo, or did he just give up everything? There's so many questions to what they can do. I'm gonna pose a question to you. Would you like to see Boba Fett, or at least hear of him still, in this new trilogy of movies?
I think based on how the trilogy has gone so far, especially with Force Awakens, to be honest, no, I would definitely not want to hear him because that now you're just shrinking the universe just for no reason whatsoever. It's going to take a lot of convincing for me to like kind of be sold on the fact is yeah, all right, I'm cool with Boba Fett being here. I feel like with Boba Fett is his time and his prime was in the original trilogy era. I don't and since we have Phasma already and we have the new places Maz Kanata's castle as well is we have now more room for more bounty hunters to bring up their fame as well. So I feel like with Boba Fett is kind of beating a dead horse at this point, so it just wouldn't work.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that would be pretty much just fan service. That would be, I mean, most they have a lot of fan service, but that's just a little too blatant. Just to have, hey, look, here's Boba Fett. He's alive and he's back, just because people like him. So let me ask you another question. Do you think there is still a place for Boba Fett in the canon, as in maybe giving him a comic or something else?
Oh, I think that's for sure. I think he still has a place, and I think he almost did when they were in developing. Lucasfilm was developing around I want to say 2012 was the Star Wars 1313, which was practically their underworld game. Their just bounty hunter esque, and so the bounty hunter world is so vast and large because really the only places that we have seen the underground, underworld, the dirtiest of levels is Tatooine. And so with that, the crazy fact is there are so many other worlds that we can explore about the underworld that having Boba Fett in it and kind of headlining it is the best way to introduce those places and expand the universe. So for sure he still has a place, but most likely it's him being the constant thread and while we're learning about new characters.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the best place. Well, after that game got canceled, we know that there was going to be a Boba Fett movie directed by Josh Trank. That was going to be the third standalone movie until I believe Fat Force they came out and just ruined everything for Josh Trank and that movie. So I think, and at least headlining a movie just about him, I don't think we're gonna get that. I don't think. I think maybe. I don't think we'll get a book either. I believe we'll get either a comic series, or he'll be mentioned. In a pre-exist. He'll be mentioned more in a comic than like he was in the main Star Wars title and stuff. As in, he'll get like his own official arc, or maybe we'll even see. Like you said, appearance in Rebel season 4. But I don't think he's out of the question yet. I just think they won't bring him back in this new era of Star Wars, into the Force Awakens and that time. I don't think we'll see him or hear of him. I think he's something of the past.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like he's definitely connected to it to the point where it's unnatural if you do like shoehorn him in there into the new trilogy, unless you say he was, for example, he was a mentor. So trying to play devil's advocate to my own point like a couple minutes ago. So I think if maybe he was a mentor or a trainer, okay, we might have a possibility there because that kind of feels like the running theme of The Last Jedi being, I mean, you have Snoke and Kylo, you have Luke and Rey, and then now you have to wonder like who else is just trying to transitioning into the mentor role from the original trilogy. So that is going to be interesting to see, but I don't think Ryan Johnson's going to, based on what he has hinted about with The Last Jedi, that doesn't seem something that like he is kind of went for.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much the show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure you guys comment below and tell us what you guys think of Boba Fett. Is he overrated or is he underrated? And most importantly, do you guys want to see Boba Fett in the future of Star Wars? And how do you want to see him in a book, comic, the movies, or even a TV show? Make sure you guys comment below and let us know. And as always, guys, make sure if you guys enjoyed, you guys like and subscribe. And thank you, Joshua, for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Josh72 RICTOR, and also on the Fashionably Late Movie Review, as I try to catch up on my movies that I haven't seen. So hopefully by this point I'll have the Great Gatsby and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 reviews up by then.
Yes, guys. So thank you guys for watching as always, and you guys can always follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SifLord310. Follow my other work, which I will link below, and I will link both channels below, actually, if you want to check out Joshua's channel. And as always, may the Force be with you. Always.